And you'll also find the Anno Lucius calendar being used by the Freemasons on all of their temples and some of their buildings. So it is the year 6009 at this point in the Anno Lucius calendar. So Lucifer is Venus, the day star, the morning star, the star of the morning, the star of the evening. This is Venus. Now, why? I don't know. That's a curious note that it still needs to be understood, and this is why I'm bringing these things up to you, because we're never going to understand the religion of the people in charge of our nation unless we start to re-question these thoughts. So as we start to look into our nation, America, we find a curious connection. As we go to the Hiram key, which is a book written by what is it, Knight and Lomas? Yes. And you can find the web of Hiram linked to freemantv.com if you want to go see. They have put up quite an interesting Freemasonic study. Now, these guys are Freemasons studying Freemasonry, much like old brother Manly P. Hall. So they go on to say, I'm kind of jumping into it here, but Josephus, the historian of the Jews in the first century, observed that the Essenes believed that good souls have their inhabitation beyond the ocean, in a region that is neither oppressed with storms or rain or snow, nor with intense heat, but refreshed by the gentle breathing of the west wind which perpetually blows from the ocean. This idyllic land across the sea to the west is a belief common to many cultures, from the Jews to the Greeks to the Celts. The Mandeans, however, believe that the inhabitants of this far land are so pure that mortal eyes will not see them, and that this place is marked by a star. The star's name is Murica. A land across the ocean, they go on to say, a perfect place marked by a star known as Murica, or perhaps a Murica. We knew that the morning star had been important to the Nazarenes, and the evening star, the star of the west, is the same celestial body, the planet Venus. As we were to find out in great detail later in our researches, the United States of America was created by Freemasons, and its constitution is based on Masonic principles. And as we already knew, the morning star is the one that every newly raised Master Mason is required to look towards. The star as a symbol has always been important to the United States. Our minds immediately turn back to Masonic ritual and the closing of the lodge meeting when the following questions are asked of the senior and junior wardens by the worshipful master. Brother Senior Warden, whither are you directing your steps? Towards the west, worshipful master. Brother Junior Warden, why leave the east to go to the west? In search of that which was lost, worshipful master. Brother Senior Warden, what was that which was lost? The genuine secrets of a Master Mason, worshipful master. The star of America. America, the star that the Masons worship, the very five-pointed star that they are asked to venerate the moment they are resurrected by the lion's grip paw during the master ritual. It's Venus. Lucifer. See you on the other side. All right, welcome back to the Freezone with your host, the Reverend Dr. Freeman, breaking it down on Lucifer. Now, you know, we're taught to be proud, and of course that's supposed to be the fall of Lucifer. We're taught to be proud of our nation. We're proud to be gay. We're proud to be black. We're proud to be white. We're proud to be Christian. We're proud to be Muslim. Pride. And that's what brings us down. That's the tool that's used against us, our own pride, and these guys know that. When we start to look into the symbolism of Freemasonry, it gets quite curious. Now, certainly our goddess has been one of my favorite studies, and I think I am the only expert on the goddess Columbia. I'm not sure about that, but I haven't found another, so I'm going to state that that's the case. Well, so when we're looking into this goddess Columbia, and we start, especially right here in Austin, Texas, where we have a great statue of her put up in 1933 as a war memorial, and she is standing there with her angel wings, and to her right is a pentagram, and to her left is a shell. And of course, these are the symbols of Texaco and shell, and you're going to find that every major corporate logo can be brought into Masonic ritual and explained. So now we're looking at the shell and the pentagram of Columbia. And there's a couple of different ways of looking at this. Now, one, of course, these symbols are symbols of Venus. There is a very easily stated answer. Venus comes up on the shell. She's the watery goddess, goddess of love and all of this. And, of course, Venus is Lucifer. So we're saying, okay, here are some Luciferians putting their symbols in front of us. And I find it very curious that she is known as the pentagram star or the pentagram goddess, and then we also have Starbucks. And as I look to corporate logos and I find like VW equals 666 in Hebrew, or Fox equals 666 in English, like your Firefox browser, Fire 666. It's a very curious study when you start to get into this. I mean, I personally don't believe in the whole Jesus-Satan paradigm. So it gets a little confusing at times, and there goes my little Satan. She makes an appearance on every show. So as we start to look to this picture, and we're starting to understand that these guys are in charge, we find this over and over again. We have to understand what their religion is and what they mean. And so we start to understand that most of these symbols go back to astrology. They go back to, astrology. So that starts to understand, and you can look at the Statue of Columbia there in front of the UT campus as a symbol of Virgo, the Virgin, and we can see how the stars align with Virgo and the Virgin in America. Diva, stop. And sorry about that. And we could start to align these stories with astrology. Yeah. And no, it's not. So we start to look into the astrological symbols of what we're looking at, and we come back again to the story of the dragon. We come to the story of Revelation. Now, as I said, the Freemasonic order is reverent of St. John. You will identify yourself as a Mason, having come into the temple as the St. Johns had done before you. So now we look to St. John in Revelation 12. And now, first of all, you tell me if somebody can tell me, anyone, what the hell this means. So in Revelation St. John 12, we have the woman and the dragon. And it goes to say, a great and wondrous sign appeared in heaven, a woman clothed with the sun, with the moon under her feet, and a crown of 12 stars on her head. Now right there, you see the picture of Mary. I mean, that's obvious, and also the picture of Isis, because she is standing with the moon under her feet, and usually a serpent under one of her foot. She was pregnant and cried out in pain as to give birth. Then another sign appeared in heaven, an enormous red dragon with 7 heads, 10 horns, and 7 crowns on his heads. Now, everybody's trying to take that line and make it into some political statement. I disagree, because it goes on to say his tail swept a third of the stars out of the sky and flung them to the earth. So what we're looking at here is an astrological cycle. We're looking at the precession of the equinox. They're talking about Draco and Virgo. That's what this story is about, and it's talking about entering into this new age. And so when we start to look at these stories, and then people want to say, well, it says the dragon, and therefore the dragon is Satan, because somewhere in the Bible it says Satan is the dragon. Well, actually, it's in this verse, actually. But what we find is that this she gave birth to a son, and most believe that to be Jesus. But, of course, it says who will rule all the nations with an iron scepter. I don't think he did that. And, of course, this is Revelations, which is supposed to be prophecy of something coming in the future. So it says that her child was snatched to God to his throne, and the woman fled to the desert, and she was taken care of for 1,260 days. Now, these are always curious numbers and well looking into in astrological features. You should take it and adapt that to the precession of the equinox. And then it goes on to say, and then there was a war in heaven. Michael and his angels fought against the dragon, and the dragon and his angels fought back. But they were not strong enough, and they lost their place in heaven. The great dragon was hurled down, that ancient serpent called the devil, or Satan. He who leads the whole world astray. He was hurled to earth, and his angels with him. Okay, so Here you have the one story in the St. John's Revelations that speaks of a dragon being cast down to earth, and somehow, some way, that's supposed to be referring to Lucifer, even though Lucifer is actually in recognition of Nebuchadnezzar. We're getting confused. So let's keep it all straight. Let's realize that this is so obtuse. This is so out there. No one can understand this. We can come up with all kinds of things to say what they mean by this